When you are cutting your fabric, you trim, and then you trim, and then you trim, and you make a lot of scraps.
Today we were heading back to Mt Scrapmore because
I have made several videos on what to do with the big pieces, but today's video is all about the small pieces. The irregular shaped ones, the less than 2-inch ones, which we often call crumbs. So here are 7 ways to use up your crumbs. So stick with me and I'll show you how to do it. Hi there, I'm Karen Brown of Just Get It Done Quilts. I give you tips, tricks, and strategies to help you make the quilt that you want to make. And if you like what you see, please hit that subscribe button. And I'd like to thank today's sponsor, SKILLSHare. For all of us, scraps have different meanings. I know people who consider anything less than a fat quarter a scrap. And on the other extreme, I have people horrified that I throw out anything less than 1 inch. Everyone has a zone that they're comfortable with. The important point is you should have a purpose for your scraps and not just put them in bags and hide them in the closet. So I have done a previous video on scrap management where you decide where and how to use up your scraps. Scrap sampler blocks, scrap strip blocks, or in the back in an AfterQuilt. But I have yet to deal with the crumbs, which are those irregular and small pieces that you have left over after you've done all the other stuff. It is a good habit to have to start your sewing with a leader in place.
they don't need to be square and they don't need to be the same size. And you can use them over and over and over again.
If a thread nest happens, it happens on the leader and not on your good fabric. It also gives your piecing something to butt up against to support your fabric as it initially hits those feed dogs for straighter sewing. They're also good to use as markers between section. Like if I'm doing columns of pairs, I will use a leader to mark in between the different columns. It's important to have a place for all your crumbs so you don't have to go rummaging through larger pieces to judge if it's really a leader material. Just keep them all in one bucket so you can just grab and go. You can also sew chains of crumbs together to make strips. You start by sewing like pairs together, then you sew those together, and then sew those together. These strips can be used in blocks, such as
Pickup sticks or coin blocks,
but they also can be incorporated in more sampler-like blocks,
like log cabins or churn dashes.
You can sew several crumb chains together to make crumb squares and crumb rectangles.
You can also simply grow your block from all your crumbs, letting it grow organically from all your different shapes. You can then use this as a block or use it as fabric to cut another shape from. And don't worry about any wastage. It can be used as the foundation for your next block.
Many people sew their crumbs to paper when they're doing this to help secure the pieces. I personally love using adding machine tape. I had a box of abandoned rows at the office and I was trying to figure out what I could do with them. I, at some point, made a decision to make my strips 18.5 inches long, and I usually work 2 to 4 strips at once to postpone trips to the iron. So I use short fabric strips and crumb chains that I made in the previous step. Sometimes I throw in old HSTs. Basically anything goes that can fit on the strip. And then when the strip is complete, I trim it with a 1/4 inch seam allowance all around. And I honestly work on them just whenever I don't feel like working on anything else. You can also use crumbs in applique.
Take any fusible webbing like steamacine. I use my offcuts and fuse my crumbs to them.
You can add these crumbs to your blocks, use them in applique on top of your quilting, or have fun and make postcards out of them.
I keep a stack of cardstock, batting scraps, and ugly fabric on hand so I can always make postcards. Layer your batting on top of your ugly fabric with your postcard background. They should be just slightly larger than your cardstock. Then place your crumbs in your desired design. and with the second paper removed, fuse with a hot iron. Alternatively, you can just use a glue stick to attach the pieces. Quilt as desired. Then glue the card to the back of the piece. Then trim to the same size as your cardstock. To bind your postcard, use a tight zigzag. My width is 4 millimeters wide with a stitch length of 0.75. Trim any threads. Then I send them as I would any postcard.
We all have items in our house that are less than colorful, or perhaps you just want to disguise what they are and make them your own. Now, I know you don't need an excuse to buy a Pringles can, but I use these two at my office as thread catchers. Yes, I always use two. I use one for my left hand and I use one for my right hand.
I use 2 parts craft glue to 1 part water.
And often I will just be Modge Podging while on a Zoom call. It's fast and easy to make. It will take a little time to dry. And I have a couple of foam board projects that are less than beautiful that I'd like to do soon. Stay tuned. Now, I don't personally do them, but I have so many quilters that write in and tell me that they do. They keep a pillowcase beside their sewing table, and into it goes all their crumbs and all their cutoffs. Then they make dog beds out of them for their local shelter.
Lovebug Studios has a great blog post on it, and I'll leave a link in the notes below.
There's no defined line between scrap quilting and improv quilting. It all kind of just blurs together at some point. Crumb Chains, Crumb Blocks, Crumb Applique can all be incorporated into an improv project. The biggest bonus for me when I do improv, it lets the left side of my brain rest. For those of you that have long to-do lists and deadlines, or just live in a life of precision with little margin of error, improv can be yoga for the brain. You can let your analytical left brain relax and let your right side do all the stretching and bending.
Just because they're crumbs doesn't mean they can be neglected. It's still very important that you use a good ironing technique so that your pieces lie flat, and therefore your work will lie flat.
Now, I know that there are those of you out there that think I'm crazy for using all these small pieces. Don't feel any pressure to use up crumbs. If they give you any stress, just put them in a paper bag and donate them, because there's tons of people that would love to have them. If you want more information on what to do with your scraps, I'm going to leave a link in the notes below to my scrap management playlist. And if you haven't seen my new interview series, Karen's Quilt Circle, I'm going to put a link in the notes down below there too.
This week, I'm talking with Geeky Bobbin about how to get published as a pattern writer.
So hit that subscribe button so you'll be notified when it goes live. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell beside the subscribe button so that YouTube will notify you when I make new videos. You can also find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest at Just Get It Done Quilts. All my Sashbuster patterns are available for download on my website, justgetitdonequilts.com. So take care, and I'll see you next time.